What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate you all being in here. Man, I don't know. It was a wild weekend, man, with the Mike McCarthy hire essentially out of nowhere, kind of surprising some people. A lot of us out there were surprised. But if we actually dug a little deeper, maybe we shouldn't have been surprised because Art Rooney all along said that this was the type of hire that he actually wanted. I just don't think we were listening. I don't think, I know I wasn't listening, or maybe I was listening, but I just wasn't paying close enough attention and I didn't want to believe it. But I think that has a lot to do with why fans were so shocked is that we heard what he said at the press conference when Mike Tomlin stepped down. We heard it, but I don't know that we all just really believed it. We just kind of thought, okay, that's kind of owner talk. He's not going to do this. And we'd heard Mike McCarthy's name, and it's really not that. But that's kind of what it was, man. So we're going to talk about that. Art Rooney, he wanted Mike McCarthy all along. Next up, 48 hours later, I'll talk to you a little bit. It's not a horrible hire. Now, coming from me, that's tough because you know that I don't like it, but we'll talk about it a little bit on why it's just not horrible. And then finally, there's QB options out there. QB options, I like the Mac Jones option. Not to just hand him the job. No. But I like that option. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So appreciate everybody being in here. Again, make sure to like, follow, subscribe if you're not already. We've got some members that are already in here. They always get their comments and questions up. What's going on, Art's baby doll? Appreciate you being in here. My main man, Vaughn. How are you doing? What's going on? Appreciate everybody being in here. Thank you very much. Miss Felicia, how are you doing? What is going on? So appreciate you all being in here. Again, if you want your comment, question, or rant up on the screen, you know how to do that. Super chats are all wide open if you want to help support the channel. Let's get into it a little bit. So first things first, Art Rooney II, he wanted Mike McCarthy from the very beginning, people. That's just my first thought is he wanted Mike McCarthy from the beginning. Remember the press conference. Remember what he said. He didn't believe in throwaway seasons. Again, I think that's horrible talk from an owner. Just because you're rebuilding doesn't necessarily mean that you have to just throw away a season. It doesn't mean that. You don't have to be bad. The way that the Pittsburgh Steelers were built, they got money and picks. You can be good the next year. Look at New England. You might say, well, New England was bad for a while before they got good. But what did New England have? They had money and picks, and they turned it around in a year. Now, granted, they had their quarterback, but the Steelers got money and picks. You could turn this thing around in a year. You don't have to just suck. They don't. They really don't. Well, but Art Rooney, he won't go down that path. He just refuses to go down that path. So, and since he won't, this is where we are. Hey, Jay Chipman, we appreciate you, man. 2 months as a member. Says, not my first choice, but we'll see how it goes. I agree. We'll get into it. So, and that's the thing is that Art Rooney, this hire kind of solidifies a lot of what everybody thought. But here's the thing that I think is ironic is that this is who they wanted from the beginning. They won once Mike Tomlin stepped down. Art Rooney basically said, okay, what can we do to keep the train rolling? What's the best hire that I can make that just keeps us on this exact same path? We're not going to get worse. We're not going to get better. But what's the best hire? And it was Mike McCarthy. And he wanted that all along. And what I think is ironic is that The Steelers come up with the Rooney Rule, and then literally they bring two guys in just to satisfy the Rooney Rule in Brian Flores and Anthony Weaver. They had no intentions of hiring those guys, and then they hire Mike McCarthy. I mean, isn't that ironic? Their rule, they just bring two guys in that they have no intention on hiring. And how you know they had no intention, again, it goes back to what Art Rooney II said. I don't believe in throwaway seasons, which means he believes that if you hire a first-time head coach, that's what you're going to get, is that you're going to get a season where things aren't going to go the way that you want them to go. And he said it. What was his quote? I know I'm paraphrasing here, but it was more, you always attack the season. You always want to win. And some years you have the horses and some years you don't. Can I just ask a question? And I'll ask it of you, chat. When was the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers had the horses where you thought, yeah, they're going to go win a Super Bowl? When was that? I mean, you could even go back to the Killer Bee days and you could say that the offense had it, but that defense was atrocious. So when was the last time that you thought, as a Steeler fan, myself included, that we just said, you know what? The Steelers they got the horses. Oh, yeah, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. When the hell was that? Man. Oh, man. I don't know. But it was Mike McCarthy all along, people. Here's the thing that Art Rooney, he said. Here's a quote from him when they're talking about it. And while he doesn't care necessarily what fans think, and whether he should or not as an owner is a different conversation. But we're really not worried about winning the initial press conference. This was in reference to an interview asking him, saying that the hire of Mike McCarthy has been pretty negative. The reaction has been very negative from Steeler fans. He said, quote, "We're not really worried about winning the initial press conference," Rooney said to Bob, I think it's Lambrosia. If I'm butchering his name, I know I am. I apologize. It's about picking the coach we believe will help us win games, and social media really doesn't enter into that. And none of that will matter once we're starting to play games. That's what he said. Going further, he also says, quote, "The message for our fans is we're very excited. We think we have our coach who's well equipped to lead us into the next winning phase of Steelers football. And that's what it's about. I think they're going to love Coach Mike," end quote. That is what Art Rooney said in response to fans being pissed off. Couldn't be more tone deaf. Couldn't be more tone deaf. And again, he's running a business. He's running it his way. Look, I'm not here to tell him that he's right or wrong. But what I would say is, if you believe that this is, matter of fact, I take that back. I am here to tell him that he's wrong. Damn that. If you think that constantly being mediocre every year is okay, then you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. I've said it a million times. Mediocrity is the death of your franchise. You're wrong if you think winning 9 or 10 games is okay every year. And being because you're not really in the running. Like, the Steelers are not in the running. They weren't in it this year. They weren't in it last year. The Steelers have not been in the running to really win a Super Bowl in a long, long time. So I'm sorry to tell you, but that's what it is. I couldn't be more disappointed in my owner than what I am right now. Because he has basically told everybody, hell, remember when he said at the press conference, had Mike Tomlin not stepped down, he wasn't firing Mike Tomlin. He wasn't moving on from that. He said it. Yeah, we were willing to run it back with him. Well, now he is running it back. He got a guy, the equivalent to Mike Tomlin. It couldn't be more disappointed. And this is a good point, Anthony. It's a safe hire. That's exactly what it is. It's a safe hire. It's a safe hire. Felicia says that Art's smoking that Zap Pack. Maybe. Maybe. So, THFC 8 says 11-0. When the Steelers started 11-0, nobody thought that was COVID year. If you watch that Pittsburgh Steelers team, nobody thought the Steelers were winning the Super Bowl. we all knew the Steelers had huge flaws that they weren't going to win the Super Bowl that year. We knew it. And what happened? Yeah, I mean, that was fool's gold, and we all know it, man. We all know it. So instead of running it back with Mike Tomlin, you're running it back with Mike McCarthy. I don't know. It just, that's what it is. That's what it is. Robert said, play games, not winning games will get the fans behind them. This hire is an upgrade, but I can't say it's a home. Hopefully they get the QB situation figured out. I'm just trying to figure out, and maybe the hire is an upgrade, maybe offensively because of offensive mind, but when it comes to being a leader of men, it's not an upgrade. I mean, you can say what you want about Mike Tomlin. Players loved him. They did. So no, it's not an upgrade. Not in that capacity. Not in record capacity. It's just not an upgrade. It's a lateral move. And again, and we're going to move on to the next topic after this super chat. Arts Baby Doll, appreciate you, Arts Baby Doll. Thank you for supporting the channel. Said Rooney is so full of shit, the toilets are jealous. Here comes another mediocre season, in my opinion. I mean, I love it. I love it, Arts Baby Doll. Here's the thing. And like I said, 48 hours later, I don't think it's a horrible hire. I don't think it's horrible. I don't like the hire, but Mike McCarthy is not a bad coach. And I think that's what a lot of us out there are having a hard time separating is we don't like the hire, but you can't say, okay, I don't like the hire, so Mike McCarthy must suck. Because that's not true. It's not. He's not a terrible coach. Mike Tomlin wasn't a terrible coach. Regardless of what people are going to say, Mike Tomlin was not a terrible coach. He was a good coach. Mike McCarthy is a good coach. But the difference is that we wanted change. And it's weird because, I heard this earlier today, and it's true, is that the Steelers' previous owners were willing to go out on a limb. The chief, old man Rooney, went out on a limb and hired Chuck Noll. His son, Dan Rooney, went out on a limb and hired Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin. And then his son refuses to go out on a limb. He said, nope, I'm not doing that. Not to mention his grandfather and his father were both right. They went out on a limb and they won. They hit it right. You won't go out on that limb. And that's where a lot of people have a lot of problems. So that's the thing, is he's not a bad coach, just don't like the hire. It's not horrible. It's not. It's not. But it's not what most of us wanted, which is fair. Tyler Johnson with Super Chat said, Big B, baby is here. Happy and healthy, and so is mama. Just coming back to let you know, my man. Hey, everybody tell Tyler congratulations. He came on the show a couple of days ago just to tell us that they were inducing, or he was having his baby later on that day. And he is back today to tell us that the baby is here. Man, Congratulations, my guy. Tell us is it boy, girl, the name? If you want to, you don't have to do that. Shoot, we got us a Steelers almighty baby. I love it. I absolutely love it, my man. Congratulations, brother. Congratulations. That is good stuff. That is good stuff. But that threw me off. My main man, Tyler, having a baby. We appreciate it. But yeah, that's my thing is that it's okay. The hire is not horrible. It's not what we wanted. And it doesn't give you the feeling that the Steelers are trying to move forward. And that's why we're so frustrated. Now, here's the thing about Mike McCarthy. His record is good. 174, 112, 2 ties. He wins 61%. About where Mike Tomlin was. 11-11 in the playoffs in his career. 1 win in the last 8 years. That 1 win's better than Mike Tomlin. Now, but don't get me wrong. If Mike Tomlin only had 1 win in 8 years, we would all still be furious. So I don't want you to think that I'm letting him off the hook with 1 win in 8 years. Not good enough. He had 3 straight seasons with the Cowboys where they won 12 games. And there is no doubt that Cowboys team, he had them cooking. But you take a look at that. Again, 1 playoff win with the Cowboys. And that Cowboys team had a top 5 roster, ladies and gentlemen. That was a top 5 roster. They had 18 All-Pros on those teams in those 3 years. 18 All-Pros, 11 of them were first-team All-Pros. Did the Steelers have anywhere even close to that? No. 3 straight years, 12 wins, 18 All-Pros, 11 first team. Now, you could talk about Pro Bowls, and I was going to bring up Pro Bowls, but I just saw about, 20 minutes ago that freaking Shedeur Sanders got elected to the damn Pro Bowl. So I can't even bring up Pro Bowlers because Shedeur Sanders is going to the Pro Bowl. My God. The Pro Bowl is an absolute joke, but that's beside the point. Anthony says, y'all are going to hate me, but running back with Rodgers, man, get him real weapons and a better O-line coach. Nah. What? For what? Rodgers can't. Part of playing quarterback these days in the National Football League, you got to be able to move. Rodgers just can't do that anymore. Don't need to run it back. Now, they might do it, but I don't think you need to. I don't think it makes sense. Arch baby doll. Wait, wear that's what. Hey, that I wear it all the time. Arch baby doll. That frosted Steelers Almighty. I wear it all the time. That hoodie, especially the last couple days. I had to go out and shoo some rabbits away out in my yard this morning. It's freezing here in Texas, so I wear it all the time. So I appreciate you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the connection, I apologize, man. It is rough going here. It is rough going here today. Lord have mercy. So I apologize. It is. Our system here is trouble. if that doesn't say anything. But having said all that, I don't think the hire of Mike McCarthy is horrible, man. It's not horrible. I just don't think it's an upgrade. I think it's a lateral, safe move, and that's what Art Rooney was comfortable with. Art Rooney just doesn't want the Steelers. I think his biggest fear is that the Steelers turn into the Jets. Is that if he lets go of the rope, that he won't be able to grab the rope back, and that the Steelers are the Jets. And that it'll just continue down this slippery slope and never be able to get back. That is what his fear is. And then the second part of that is is that that's what he's going to be known for. Is that he's going to be known for simply that. That he will be known as the guy that sent the Steelers into the abyss, and he doesn't want that legacy. I think that's a coward's way of being an owner, though. I really believe that's a coward's way of being an owner. The Steelers are never going to be the Jets for the simple fact we're the Steelers, they're the Jets. That's number one. Number two, it's not like the Steelers don't have good pieces in place. They do. And just back to stinking, I just don't like the fact that Art Rooney just believes that if you hire new coaches, he just wouldn't take the same chances that his father and grandfather did. And for me, I just think that's a weak way of. I think it's just a weak way of being an owner. So I think it's a weak way of being an owner. What's up, B? Missed the last few hours, but damn if I don't call this McCarthy move. Said, I don't call this McCarthy. Not sure it's bad, but it's definitely not better. Time will tell. I'm with you. I'm with you. And again, I apologize for the feed. I can't do anything about the internet. It is frozen tundra here in Texas, man. So I apologize. But that's where I think, I think Art Rooney is just so afraid, of being the guy that has the Steelers going into the abyss that he won't make the proper changes. And to me, that's not a way to be an owner. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think you can be an owner that way, being afraid and not doing what's best for the franchise. But this is where we are. We can't change it. It is what it is. But it isn't a horrible hire. 48 hours after my emotions have calmed down, it's not horrible. Now, it's not great. It's not uplifting. It's not inspiring, should I say. And here's the thing that I want to make sure that I say. All of us Steeler fans out there, even the ones that hate the move, despise the move, can't stand it, you are allowed to still root for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You are also allowed, if we are all wrong in saying, well, okay, the Steelers, actually, it worked. You are still allowed to be a Steeler fan. So don't listen to people out there, oh, go root for another team. And yeah, you're not a real Steeler fan. Damn that. We can be emotional. We can be mad. And we can still root for our football team. All of that is allowed. Okay, I just want to make sure that we are clear. All of that is allowed. You can be as mad as you want and still want the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. And if Mike McCarthy turns out he's got a 5-year contract, if he wins 5 Super Bowls in a row, you and me are still allowed to be happy. So that's my only thing. Don't let the nonsense get in the way. So Mike Malone says we're 10 times better now with McCarthy as coach. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Don't believe that even in the slightest. We might be a better offensive-minded team, but we're not a better football team, because now you're saying that Mike Tomlin can't coach at all, and that's just not true. That's just not true. That's just the Mike Tomlin haterism coming out, and I don't put much stock into that. People can feel the way they want to feel. I get it, but I don't put any stock into that. Jason says Rooney's statement on the hire is diabolical. I thought he was on drugs saying that the team could win a championship. I mean, that's what he's supposed to say. I get it. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. So That's just what it is. I I don't know. And Casey, you're exactly right. Art Rooney did say games, not titles. That's what he has been concerned with all along. He's concerned with winning games, being relevant. And that's the part that I don't understand about him. He acts like if the Steelers for 1 year went 5-12, like the Steelers just wouldn't be relevant. First of all, it's the Steelers. We're always going to be relevant. But number two, what's the difference between 5-12 and 10-7 and getting your head beat in the first round? You're still not relevant to win a Super Bowl. Like, there isn't a Steeler fan out there, a sane Steeler fan out there that thought the Steelers were going to win a Super Bowl. Nobody. And we haven't thought that in a long time. So 1 year isn't going to make us relevant or unrelevant. I just didn't get that. I still don't get that. Torsha says, defense shouldn't be much worse than last year. McCarthy can make the offense better. I'll wait and see what we do and how we play before I personally crash out. At this point, we just got to wait and see what happens with the quarterback. We could crash out, but, you know, I just wait and see what they do with the roster. The Steelers can make 3 moves, not 10. They could literally make 3 moves and have close to $90 million in cap space. 3. And how do you get your team better? Picks and money. Steelers got both. So we'll see what happens. We will 100% see what happens. Miss Christine, how you doing? Said, I can't even get excited about the draft now. I'm having nightmares about them trading all the picks for Dak. Stop it. They're not going to trade all their picks for Dak. Although I would say this. I know Dak's older. I think he's like 33. Wouldn't you take Dak Prescott as your quarterback right now? I mean, all the people that say that Mike McCarthy works well with quarterbacks, Dak had his best years with Mike McCarthy. Now, granted, he had really good receivers, but wouldn't you take Dak? I mean, I would in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat over what we currently have. But I'm not trading my draft for him. No. No. Not doing that at all. Not doing that at all. So they rushed the hiring. Let's be honest. They didn't do their due diligence interviewing candidates. That's why I said at the beginning, you're exactly right, Jason. That's why I said he wanted Mike McCarthy all along. That's who they wanted to hire. Just because, okay, let's get the Rooney Rule out of the way. Let's bring in Flores, who we know we're not going to hire. Anthony Weaver, who has no chance. And then let's hire McCarthy. I mean, they did that. They did that. They absolutely did that. So, which is wild, but it's true. Somber, what's going on? He said, in my opinion, he has 5 years to find us a franchise QB. As long as he does that, I'll be happy. Find us a dude or help turn Howard into one. Please. Appreciate you supporting the channel. I agree. Find a guy. And that kind of goes to my last topic here is QB option. Do we just, like, what would be wrong if they brought in Mac Jones? You know, 5th round pick, a guy that's made the playoffs, had some success in the National Football League, looked good this year when he had to play. Hey, throw San Francisco a 5th round pick, bring in Mac Jones and let him compete for the job. I'm not handing Mac Jones the job. I'm not giving it to him. But what's wrong with him competing? I don't think there's anything wrong. And again, he's 27. It's not like he's 40. He's 27. He's not old. Why wouldn't he be the guy? Again, a guy that's been to the playoffs in the National Football League that has had success. That's who I would want to bring in for competition. B, you going to the draft? I hope to see you there. I think so. We got to figure out some logistics, but I think so. I think so. So, Big B, I say we give Howard a chance with McCarthy. If he doesn't do so hot, let's get Dante or Arch Manning in the first round in 2027. Okay. I mean, I'm just not going to give Will. Again, let me just ask this. Our owner is telling us he wants to win right now. Our owner made a hire saying that he wants to win right this very second. He doesn't believe in throwaway seasons. What do you think the chances that they're going to allow a 6th-round draft pick that hasn't played one single down be the starter without winning the job? What do you think the chances are of that? I don't think they're very high. I don't think that we're going to go into this offseason as Will Howard is the number one guy and there's no competition. We're just going to bring in guys to be the backup. I don't think there's a chance in hell, to be honest with you, that happens. He may win the job, but he's going to have to win it because there's going to be competition because our owner doesn't want to stink. Remember that. All of this is relevant, people. It's all relevant. It's all relevant. So that's the thing, is that the owner said no. He said no because, again, if the owner's not saying no, hire a young coach, give the young guy that's never played an opportunity. If it doesn't work, we'll have a high draft pick. Our owner has said absolutely not. He's out on that. He's out on that. So I know there's a ton of people that love Will Howard, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I got my own opinions on Will Howard. I've let them be known. But the owner of the football team has said something different. So that's all I'm saying. Bring in Anthony Richardson for what? Like, why would we bring in Anthony Richardson? Absolutely not. No, hey, man, I get it. Some of this stuff has got us going stir crazy. No, we're not bringing in Anthony Richardson. No, not a chance. So Casey says, so no young QBs again for 5 years. It appears that way, doesn't it? You know? And I know some people say, well, look at Mike McCarthy's, what he's done with young quarterbacks. I'm like, bro, look, don't get me started on him working with Steve Bonos and all these guys way back in the day. I'm like, come on, man. That was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. And so, no. Him working and developing young quarterbacks. That was 30 years ago. You know what? Here's the thing. 30 years ago, you could Google it. A guy named Brian Hanley was one of the best high school basketball players in the country. 30 years later, that means nothing, number one, and you would never know it by looking at him. That's all I'm saying. No, I don't want to hear what he did 30 years ago. I don't want to hear it. Mike McCarthy has had success in this league with good, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott. Who's that guy now? And if you say Aaron Rodgers isn't even remotely close to the same guy now as he was when Mike McCarthy was his head coach. Not even close. Not even close. Fading Velocity said, Matt Canada, welcome back to the Steelers. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So, it's not Matt Canada. Not Matt Canada. That's all I'm saying. We just got to be careful with that. We just got to be careful with it. So, my main man Jason with the super chat, said the Patriots are showing the Steelers the blueprint on how to rebuild, and now they're in the Super Bowl. Our owner doesn't see that, but Kraft does. The only thing that I would say is that they found their quarterback. Well, hell, the Patriots basically hired a coach who the owner loved. He loved Jared Mayo. He hired him knowing that they were going to stink. And this is what I think. I think he said, look, Jared, you're not ready to be a head coach, but we're not going to be any good. I'm going to give you a contract that's going to guarantee you $3-4 million a year for the next 5 years. But after the first year, I'm going to fire you and we're going to hire somebody else. I'm going to get you that on your resume, get you paid, but I got to go in a different direction that I can't go this year. Jared Mayo said, sure. And now they got their coach and they're in the Super Bowl. It happens, man. It happens. I know that's a wild theory, but it's out there. It 100% is out there. So, Boxing Man said Brett Favre was already him. So was Joe Montana. Yes, they were, Boxing Man. That's what I'm saying. Joe Montana was already that guy. Brett Favre, already that. Even Dak was already that guy. Now, the one person you could say wasn't that guy was Aaron Rodgers. But here's the thing. They moved off of Brett Favre because they knew what they had. So that would be my thing. That would be my thing. So that's why I say give Mac Jones a chance. I don't mind giving him an opportunity to win the job. I'm just not for handing it and handing it to Will Howard. And the organization isn't either. He can win the job, but there is no way the Steelers are going into this offseason saying Will Howard is our number one guy. They're not doing that. They're not going to do that. We already know that because the owner has already told us we didn't hire this coach to be below average. We didn't hire this coach to go 5-12. We didn't do that. We hired him because he can keep the ship going the right direction. You're not doing that with the young guy without competition. That's all I'm saying. Will Howard can come in and prove everybody wrong. And I want him to because he plays for my football team. But they're not going to just say, okay, he's the guy, move on. No. And I don't even know if they're going to draft somebody. Maybe they will. I'm under the impression, bring in Mac Jones, draft the guy in the 4th or 5th round. Don't reach like you did for baby hands. Don't do any of that stuff. Anthony with the super chat said, I was mad at first, but now I'm okay with the hire. Go get a good DC and OC and let him mold the next guy up. The only problem is we've already heard some reports that he's bringing in guys that he's comfortable with already. Now, that part I don't agree with. But let me just ask you guys this. If somebody hired you as a coach or for any job, for your current job, you get hired and you're going to have people work under you and you've been doing it for almost 20 years. Aren't you going to hire people to work under you that you're familiar with? Or would you just hire a bunch of guys that, let's just see how they work out? I know they've got great reputation, but I don't know them. You're not going to do that. Not at that age, not at 62. You're going to say, hold on a second. I got this job. I'm going to hire people that I'm comfortable with, that I know, that I can trust, that are going to do the things that I want them to do, and then we'll go try to go win this thing. That's what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. And in that sense, I don't necessarily blame them. I don't like it, but I don't blame them. I don't blame them. So that's it, Arch Baby Doll. People I'm familiar with. I mean, everybody would do that. Everybody's going to hire people they're familiar with. You know? But the one thing is, I'm just going to come back to it. It's Art Rooney. I said it before the beginning of last year of this past season. I said it's Art Rooney. He's accepted mediocrity. He's accepted it. And when you accept mediocrity and you're still making cash, why change? Like, yeah, I get it. I want to win, but I also don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to rock that boat. And I also don't want to be the guy that if we happen to lose the rope and we start sinking and we turn into the Jets, all I'm going to be remembered for is the guy that let the Steelers fall into the abyss. And I don't want to be that guy. I want to be better than that. I want to be known for more than that. And unfortunately, this is where we are. This is where we are. Oh, frustrating. It's frustrating. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So that's just where we are. Somber with the super chat said, how would you feel if McCarthy didn't hire an OC and called plays? Apparently, he said he would never relinquish play calling when he left Dallas. First off, you got to hire an OC because that guy's in charge of putting game plans together and all that kind of stuff. But even if you have an offensive coordinator, he's still going to call the plays. So Mike McCarthy is 100% going to call the plays. That is going to happen. And I don't think that's a bad thing, though. He's not a bad play caller. He's not. Now, the problem is that some of his stuff is, people have said, is a little outdated. So, but other than that, yeah, he's going to be the play caller. But I mean, the thing about Mike McCarthy, he got the job because of his offensive mind. If he's not going to come to Pittsburgh and utilize that, then what the hell do we want him here for? Because, again, he's not some great leader of men. I'm not saying he's not a good coach and guys don't like him. I go, but we just saw the ultimate leader of men walk out the door. Now we're bringing in a guy that's known for his offensive mind, and he's not going to use it on game day? Then what the hell do we need him here for? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, can't be worse than Arthur Smith. First of all, Matt Canada was worse than Arthur Smith, so it can always be worse. Don't say that out loud, man. Don't say that out loud. It can always be worse. So what do you think about bringing Shieldhouse for OC and Weaver for DC? It's never going to happen with Mike McCarthy. I would love it, but that's never going to happen. First of all, if Chris Shula gets a job, his offensive coordinator is going to be Nate Shieldhouse. That's number one. Anthony Weaver, I think, would be an outstanding defensive coordinator, but he doesn't know Mike McCarthy, apparently. I thought that could have been the play. Chris Shula, head coach, Weaver, DC, Shieldhouse, OC. It's not what they wanted, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens there. I wish. Jessica, that's funny. Yeah, Big G had a bad day on Saturday. Big G had a bad day Saturday. You know, Mike McCarthy, then Arthur Smith goes to Ohio State. He had a bad day. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Miss Christina says these OCs would never take the job because they wouldn't be calling plays. The only person that would do something like that would be like an offensive passing game coordinator that just wants the title of OC. But you're right. If you're not involved, these young up-and-comers want to be the guy that gets to call plays. They don't want to just sit back and just be, you know, hands off and all this. They want to be the guy that says, okay, I want to be involved. So, Boxing Man says Shula's overrated. His defense didn't look great yesterday, did it? It didn't look great. Didn't look great. So, yeah, it did not look great. I'm with you on that. So they got whipped yesterday. They got whipped yesterday. There ain't no question. But when you take it into account, they got whipped by a team that's going to the Super Bowl. That matters too. So DC is defensive coordinator. Yes, that is correct. 100% correct. So Vaughn says, who do you think McCarthy would pick for OC and DC? There's some names out there, some people that he worked with before that, quite frankly, I'm not that familiar with. So I don't know. I don't know as of right now. The defensive coordinator, the person that I heard was Patrick Graham, that he had worked with before in Green Bay. He was the Raiders defensive coordinator. Now, you think about that, you're like, the Raiders? Well, if you do a dive into the numbers, obviously it's not the guy that I would want, but the Raiders defense was not horrible, which again, is that who you want to be the DC? Hey, let's hire this guy because he wasn't horrible. Well, shit. Great. I'm glad he wasn't horrible. That's not the guy that I would just run out and say, oh man, I'm excited to hire the guy that wasn't horrible. Yeah, I don't know. That's just me though. So that's just me. But we'll see. We'll see, man. Well, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you guys again. I apologize for the connection. It's best I could do. We are literally we are covered in ice everywhere. I don't know how that affects internet. Apparently, it does. So I apologize, and it's going to be this way till Thursday at least. So, but we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we'll be on with another live or another rant here. Big show tomorrow night. Make sure you guys check it out. Me and Big G. I'm going to have to come for Big G. Big G is going through it. He's going through it. So make sure you guys are there. Thank you guys, as always, for showing up. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, aloha.